This past week, Elon Musk called out how he has very high confidence in the long-term value of Tesla, and he sees a path to a 5 to 10x increase in the value over the long term for Tesla shareholders. This, given that Tesla is already around a $900 billion market cap, would make it the most valuable company in the world. You know, Apple's only around $3 trillion currently. And so in this video, I'm going to do a no BS analysis to say, is it likely or is it possible that you start to see that move, that long-term move, let's say over the next 5 years? Could you see that 5 to 10x? And what would it take? And how is Tesla currently performing? If you enjoy educational investment videos, you're watching Unrivaled Investing, please make a point of hitting that subscribe button. So let's dive right in to sort of sizing up what's going on with Tesla. You look at Tesla, and first of all, fantastic growth figures. You're looking at 46% revenue growth, 74% growth in their energy, total revenues 47%. I mean, this is just fantastic figures. But it has come at the cost of margins, where you can see that their gross margins are only growing about 7% because they had to cut prices so significantly, partly because of Elon Musk's concerns about the economy. And as a result, their profit margins fell 5% year over year, from 15% roughly to 10% year over year, still generating meaningful free cash flow, over $1 billion in free cash flow in the quarter, which is pretty remarkable. Elon Musk, calls that out himself as, a revolutionary, effectively hardware company at this point, to still be generating $1 billion of free cash flow. That is really impressive, but it is a red mark to see this sort of decline in profit margins, because if you are going to get to the multi-trillion-dollar valuation that Elon Musk is talking about, you're going to need to see margins inflect the other way, not drop, significantly from 15% to 10%. You're going to need to see profit margins go significantly higher. We're going to talk about what could do that in the future. But looking at this business now, there's a lot going right. You look at Model Y, I was surprised by this. This is the best-selling vehicle of any kind globally in the first quarter, surpassing Corolla and the Golf. So really incredible. They continue to launch new hits. You see that they're taking market share around the world. This is the type of data point that I like to see with my own investments that I consider. I want to see companies that are outpacing the broader industry, taking market share, unrivaled. You see their energy storage also taking market share. Energy storage deployments increased by over 200% in the second quarter. Clearly a value proposition that is winning market share. Whenever I see hockey stick type charts that are historical, not forward looking, but historical, it definitely gets me interested. This is the chart of cumulative miles driven with full self-driving beta of the software. So they have this is from Elon Musk, over 300 million miles have been driven using FSD beta. They expect that to be billions of miles, tens of billions of miles, as you have more and more cars using full self-driving beta, and clearly seeing a path to self-driving maybe by the end of this year. That's what Elon Musk is calling out. He thinks it's going to be 10x safer than the average human driver. That could be revolutionary, if you pass the regulatory thresholds and metrics. And once again, one hit after another. You got Cybertruck potentially later this year. Elon Musk saying demand is so far off the hook with pre-orders, you can't even see the hook. So that's really not an issue. Some are speculating that the amount of demand for Cybertruck could be years in terms of their production. So where does Tesla go from here? Could you see that 5 to 10x that Elon Musk is talking about? First of all, in full disclosure, this is not financial advice. Also, I just this past week recently bought more of a stock that I think is over 300% upside potential that I called out to my subscribers at unrivaledinvesting.com. So if you're looking to take charge of your investment journey with compelling ideas, market insights, and an exclusive Discord community available for annual subscribers, come check it out. That's unrivaledinvesting.com. And so when I think about Tesla's hypothetical valuation framework, of course, the stock price can go way higher, way lower, depending on their execution, depending on sentiment. In order to get, let's say, anything better than a 50% return, so not the multi-bagger that Elon Musk is talking about, but in order to do better than 50% over 5 years, you're going to need to see margins double from where they were the last quarter, more than double, going from 10% to over 20%, and you're going to need to see annual growth of, let's say, faster than 25% in order to do better than 50%. And I'm assuming a 30 times earnings multiple 5 years from now. So if you want to assume that these sorts of targets, these lofty targets that Musk is talking about, you have to assume either a more aggressive earnings multiple 5 years out, faster growth, better profit margins. And so you have to have a clear thesis on that. And based on the data I'm seeing where profit margins are declining, even though the revenue growth this year is shaping up to be very nice and better than people expected because of these cost cuts, these price cuts, I just look at this and I think there's a chance that Tesla stock doesn't deliver the way Elon Musk is sort of expecting over, let's say, over the next 5 years. It wouldn't surprise me to see price movement at this point that's more in line with sort of just treading water, not really breaking into the several 100% upside that he's targeting. I think in order to get to that sort of multi-trillion-dollar value for Tesla, you're going to need a revolution. You're not just selling cars, you're going to be providing an additional service. And this is something he alluded to on the conference call when someone's asking about, the upcoming quarters and profit margin. He goes, where's that crystal ball again? The short-term variances in gross margin and profitability, like the concerns I'm calling out here. He's like, look, this is really minor relative to the long-term picture. The multi-trillion-dollar valuation that, he's thinking about with Tesla, where he's talking about autonomy, will make all of these numbers look silly. And he talks about looking at ARK Investment. He thinks their analysis is really good. Checking out some folks on FinTwit. And so let's look at what ARK Invest is saying. ARK Invest is saying, yeah, they think Tesla could be up several 100% from here over the next few years, but they also think that robotaxi is going to be driving 44% of their total revenue, and they expect $1 trillion in revenue in the next few years. So they expect robotaxi to be driving hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue. And keep in mind, robotaxi is currently zero. And so this is over, let's say, the next 3-4 years, closer to 4 years, that they're penciling out this ARK Invest. And they're saying most of their profitability is going to come from, and most of their enterprise value, most of the value of this business is going to come from robotaxi. And that's something that hasn't launched yet. And so this is a bit of a concern. So he tried to tap into, Warren Buffett on this conference call, where he talked about, thinking really he meant to be quoting Ben Graham, where Ben Graham talked about how you get this manic depressive stock market where 1 minute it's, very aggressive and very excited to bid higher for a stock. And the next minute it's really, panicking, and that you need to just find things that you love and think about the long-term value. And so so he attributed that to Buffett, but it's really Buffett's teacher, Ben Graham. I think the Warren Buffett investors of the world are going to say, this is great. This is super exciting that you are going to launch these products, but I'm only going to invest when I start seeing those profits coming in from your robotaxi fleet. And so I think that's kind of the approach that I want to see with Tesla, or to get a valuation that's just super compelling, where, and I don't think you're seeing that here. I don't think that you're going to see that 5x, let's say, over the next 5 years, even though he's talking about long term. I think it's going to be very tough unless you see some sort of revolution in their business, which it's going to take years to play out. It's going to take years before you actually start seeing it. And I think the Warren Buffett investors of the world, some of the greatest investors out there, they want to actually see the actual results. And they say, okay, this is a favorable trend. Now I'm going to bet, because I see this trend that's generating, 10 billion in revenue, and I do think it can do 100 billion. But to do what I think ARK is doing and saying, hey, this business line that doesn't exist yet is going to generate hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue, that's an assumption a little too far for me and a lot of other investors. But if you have a different opinion, I'd absolutely love to hear it. So I look at this in my no bull analysis, with Tesla, I'm thinking, I don't see this 5 to 10x, let's say, over the next 5 years. 10 years, maybe a couple of 100%, but over the next 5 years, I'm more inclined to suspect that this is going to tread water, even if they deliver 25% plus growth. I mean, maybe you get that 100% if you do a lot better, maybe if you're growing like 30% plus, but I'd want to see it in terms of improving profit margins as well. And we're just not there yet. Now, they also announced or talked about on the conference call that he might be licensing their FSD technology to another auto manufacturer, maybe like a Ford. That's, some people are speculating. And so could this turn into a software licensing business over time? That's clearly what they expect. But once again, you're going to need to see a revolution well beyond just selling autos. It needs to be a revolution in transportation. He's getting into the moving large amounts of cargo. So it's, in order to be a multi-trillion-dollar valuation like he's penciling out, you're going to need to see Tesla really step beyond where they currently are. And I want to start seeing the revenue from those different product lines before I start really buying into that hype. And I'm going to stick to the no hype fundamental analysis on this channel. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching Unrivaled Investing.